Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be doing another dupes video. You guys seem to like the first one I did with the Daydream palette and the Huda one, so here's another one that I'm even more excited about, because in today's video we're going to be comparing the Natasha Denona Gold Palette with the Alter Ego Goddess Palette. You guys will see in a second how close these shades are to one another, and I want to ask you guys to take a vote right now in the comment section down below and tell me which one is which. Tell me if you think the Natasha Denona palette is in my left eye or in my right eye. Go ahead and put your comment down below before you even start watching this video. Don't cheat. So you can tell me which one you think is which. I honestly can tell very little differences between the two, so I feel like a lot of you are going to be very surprised at which palette is on which eye. Before we get started with the video, guys, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the red button so you don't miss out on any of the future videos coming up. Let's not make this intro too long. Let's just go ahead and get started. In today's video, guys, I am going to be showing you a dupe for the Natasha Denona Gold Palette. It is this beautiful palette right here, and I want to thank my friend Deborah. She works with me and she's the owner of this palette. It's not mine. This particular Natasha Denona palette is $129, which is why I never bought it, even though it's absolutely beautiful. This is what the inside of the Natasha Denona looks like. It has a beautiful color story. It is a bunch of amazing looking nudes with some golds and some teals. You can't go wrong with this one. It's the palette that we're going to be comparing it to is the Goddess palette. This palette was sent to me by Ater Ego a couple months ago now. So because I don't own the Natasha Denona palette, I hadn't done this video before, but thanks to Deborah I can go ahead and do it for you guys today. It is a much smaller palette, but as you can see, it has pretty much the exact same shades. They obviously were trying to dupe the Natasha Denona Gold Palette, and I think they did a pretty good job at it. Let me show you guys what they look like side by side. The eyeshadows are organized differently, and the Alter Ego ones have their names right underneath them there. But as you can see, they look identical. These look a lot more like each other. These look more like each other than when I did the Daydream palette from Alter Ego versus the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. So I'm super excited to see what they look like on the eyes, how they blend, how it performs. Honestly, I cannot wait. You can save 10% extra on the Goddess palette if you use my discount code. It's Patty10. You guys get 10% off of the palette, which will take another $1 and a few cents off of the $16 that this palette is. I don't get anything from it. I'm just sharing the code in case you guys want a little extra incentive. That would make this palette $14 and some change, which is amazing. I learned that they don't ship internationally because I think a few of you guys saw my last video and were wanting to order it international. I don't think they ship international yet. Hopefully they will in the future. To get started comparing the palettes, I don't think I'm going to swatch the whole palette side by side, but I will swatch a couple of the key shades for you guys, and you can kind of see what they look like in comparison to one another. The first one I want to do from the Natasha Denona palette is this one here. It's called Brass. I'm going to do Lime Chrome, we're going to do Brass, and we're going to do Log. Alright, so here's the first comparison. This is the color Brass versus the color Cassandra from the Goddess palette. Brass is the color right up here. As you can see, it is much more like metallic looking than the color Cassandra. They look really similar next to one another, but obviously the color Brass from the Natasha Denona palette looks a lot more vibrant. Okay, so these are the next ones, and I am comparing the colors Log from Natasha Denona with Avalon from the Goddess palette. This one here is Avalon, this one here is the Natasha Denona one. The Natasha Denona one is much more pigmented. I should add that to get to a similar level of intensity, I'm having to go over the Goddess palette shade a few times, and the Natasha Denona one is just like a one swipe wonder. So they do look very similar, but I definitely have to build up the Goddess palette color a lot more than the Natasha Denona one. The Natasha Denona, I'm like barely touching my arm. The other one, I'm having to go back and swatch it like 2 to 3 times. Okay, so this is the last one. This one here is the Natasha Denona Lime Chrome color. And this one here is Walk-Higher from the Goddess palette. These I swatch a couple times each. Now the main difference I think is that the Natasha Denona one has some green reflex in it, and the Goddess Walk-Higher color does not have the same amount of green reflex. But again, they are super close, and we are talking about a difference of over $100 for very similar shades. So we'll see how they look like once we start putting them on our eyelids. So I'm going to start with the Natasha Denona side, and the first color I'm going to reach for is going to be this one right up here. That color is called Aria, and it looks like a beautiful transition shade. So we're going to put it right up here. This can kind of count as a first impressions on both palettes for me, because I haven't used the Natasha Denona Gold Palette before on myself. I've used it on clients, but not on myself. That blended so easy. That was super fast to do. So from the Goddess palette, I'm grabbing this color here. It's called Hira, and I'm going to use the same brush. This is the clean one, and we're going to be putting it right up there on the crease of the eye. And I went back like 3 times on the, I think I dipped like twice for the Natasha Denona side and like 3 times for the Goddess palette side. And at this point, I think they pretty much look the same. I'm going to go back to the Natasha Denona one with that same brush, and I'm going to use this color here at the bottom, which is called Teak, T-A-T-E-A-K. I grabbed some of that color Teak, and I'm putting it right here on the outer corner. Even though this color doesn't look a lot darker than the first one we grabbed on the palette, on the eyes, as you can see, it's making quite a difference. So we're going to go ahead and blend that one from the outer corner outwards and upwards into the crease of our eye. And that took one little dip into that palette to get it this much darker. So from the Goddess palette, I believe the color we are reaching for is this one here. It's called Juno. And I'm putting it right here on the outer corner of this eye. I went back with just a little tiny more just to put right here on the outer corner, and I think now they both look pretty much the same. No, I think this is still a little darker, so I'm going to go back and darken it up a bit more. I think they now look pretty similar. So now I'm grabbing my M443 brushes. This one here that looks pink, it's just stained, is actually a pretty clean brush. And we're going to deepen all of this up even more. We are going to go back with the Natasha Denona palette and the color Log right there. I barely dipped my brush in that Natasha Denona palette, and this is nice and super intense. So we're gonna put it right here on the outer corner. Okay, so this is how I darken this up right here on the outer corner. And we're going to do the same thing here on the Goddess palette side, except I guess we're gonna have to go back and dip quite a few times. I think the main difference between those two colors is the Natasha Denona side is a lot more like cool tone. This one here looks a bit more yellow, and the Natasha Denona one was a bit more intense as well. Okay, so let's get started with the shimmers. And I was going to do the color Lime Chrome, which is that beautiful like greenish color that I swatched earlier, but since I already showed you that one, the color I'm going to use for Natasha Denona is this one right up here. It's called Kava, and I'm getting that one just because I swatched the other two metallics, so we already kind of saw how like those compare to one another. We haven't seen this one yet, and I'm going to go ahead and apply it with the Huda Beauty applicator thingy. I don't think that's working. And I'm going to go ahead and apply it with my Sephora Collection number 13 brush, because the Huda applicator wasn't collaborating. This is pretty, but I'm expecting more. So let's see if we can make it better. Yes, the finger works better for this one, for sure. Look at how beautiful that is. From the Goddess palette, the color we're grabbing is this one here called Pandora. I went ahead and cleaned my number 13 brush from Sephora Collection, and we're going to go ahead and apply it on this eye. These are pretty close to one another. I think the Natasha Denona one looks a bit more luxurious, like the chunks of glitter are different, but they look very close to each other. I had a lot of fallout here on the Goddess palette side, and no fallout on the Natasha Denona side at all, so be mindful of that. I'm trying to wipe it off, but I still have some right here on my cheek. I don't know if you guys can see it. The color Pandora from the Goddess palette was very, very powdery. I think, because why not, I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of a darker color. So I'm just going to do it with my fingers. I think I'm going to get the color Brass from Natasha Denona, and we're going to put it right here on the center of the eyelid. That color is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm just doing it with my finger. And I'm going to grab the color Cassandra from the Goddess palette, which is the equivalent, and we're gonna put it right here in the center too. I went back a second time to make it look just as pigmented, and it looks absolutely stunning. Let's go ahead and work underneath the eyes a little bit. I'm going to use two M506 brushes from Morphe, and just for the sake of trying as many colors as possible, I'm going to go ahead and go in with different browns. So from the Natasha Denona palette, I'm going to go in with the color Dijon underneath the eye. This one right here. It's like a mustardy type of brown. And on the other eye, that color is this one up here, and it's called Athena. So let's start with the Natasha Denona side. And I'm blending it at the end to the top of my eyeshadow. Same thing under the other eye, except with the color Athena from the Goddess palette. I'm going to grab this color right up here. It's like a deep teal. It's called Hyphen from the Natasha Denona palette, and we're going to put it underneath my lower lash line at the end. Same brush, I went ahead and wiped it off, and we're going to do it underneath this eye. The color from the Goddess palette is called Gaia, G-A-I-A. I don't know if that's how you say it. And we're blending it right underneath our lower lashes. And those look super similar, even though the Natasha Denona one looks very, very intense in the palette. When you put them underneath the eye and you blend them, they look very, very, very close. I'm once again wiping my number 18 brush, and from the Natasha Denona palette, we are going to use the color Sparks, which is this white right here, to put in the inner corner of the eye. Right there. And then from the Goddess palette is this one here at the bottom, is the color Freya. So we're going to put it right here in the inner corner. Okay guys, so this is what they look like right now. I am super impressed at how like close to one another they look, especially with such a big price difference. Obviously I had to go and dip quite a few more times on the Goddess palette to get it to look like this, but even though like they look really close together. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my makeup off camera. I'm going to put some mascara on, and I'll be back to tell you guys my final thoughts. Okay guys, so I am back, and this right here is the final look. I did a bit of a lip liner and then the Origins lip balm in Honey Rose and the Damn Girl mascara on my lashes, and this right here is the final look. I honestly can barely tell the difference. I'm going to get a little closer so that you guys can see it all better, but I honestly can barely tell the difference. So this right here is the Natasha Denona side, and this right here is the Goddess palette side. So let me tell you guys what I think about it. Obviously, if money didn't matter, I would 1000% go ahead and grab the Natasha Denona one. It took a lot less effort for me to get to this eye look with the Natasha Denona palette. You get more product in it. I feel like the eyeshadows have a special kind of shimmer to them. Like this one here looks like just a shiny eyeshadow, but this one has some extra sparkles in it. I don't know if that's transferring on the camera, but I can definitely see it in person. With that said though, the Goddess palette side looks almost identical. Like it's very, very, very hard to even tell the difference, and it is only $16. So if you cannot afford the Natasha Denona Gold Palette, because it's quite pricey, and you want something that has the same shades, like the exact same shades, then go ahead and head over to the link in my description box, which is the link for the Alter Ego website, and you can use code Patty10 if you want to save an extra 10%. Again, I don't get anything from that. That's just for you guys to get it even cheaper. I think Alter Ego did an amazing job at duping this Natasha Denona Gold Palette. that is kind of my final thoughts. I definitely recommend both palettes. This Goddess palette is definitely worth it for $16. It is a absolute steal. I would get it. This is better than anything you'll find at the drugstore for sure. So with that said, that takes us to the end of this video. Don't forget to please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at this handle right here. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if this is the first video you watch of me, my name is Patty, and I would love it if you hit that red subscribe button down below and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye!